No, we're talking about that. There would have been an article in the paper. I don't know if it's-
Welcome to Grace Lutheran. We'll get started in just 1 second. And if anybody wants to stand by the Wisconsin 7, this is more of a press conference than a rally, so if you're interested in standing behind the signs, you're more than welcome. If you'd like to take a seat, you're also more than welcome. Well, my name is Reverend Jonathan Parker, and it is an absolute privilege to have you all here on day 22 of the Wisconsin Sevens Fast. And I could not be more humbled to stand with this team. It is an amazing thing to go with 7 other people for 22 days without eating. And I couldn't have found a better team to go through this with. So thank each of you for going on this journey with me. And it's not just the Wisconsin 7, but behind me I've got Alderman Anthony Kennedy, who's been fasting the last 3 days with us. Bill Gregory has been fasting in support with us the last week. And Maki's been fasting with us a big chunk of this last week too. And there are countless people throughout the state that have been fasting for a meal or for a day, from here to Eau Claire, out west. It's amazing, and we're so grateful for all that support. So we are here for climate justice in the state budget. And I have a feeling that there's some people that are excited about climate justice. So when I say climate, you say justice. Climate.
Justice!
Climate.
Justice!
Climate.
Justice!
As a Christian pastor, this issue of climate justice is important to me because we believe that Jesus told us that we're to love our neighbors as ourselves. And neighborly love means making sure that our neighbors have a livable future, family-sustaining jobs, clean air to breathe, and clean water to drink. And so that's why I've been on this journey for the last 22 days. And we can get all of these things in our state budget. And that's really exciting. And so we've been fasting now for 22 days. Again, this is a celebration. I could not be more excited and honored to be here at the Wisconsin 7. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce somebody that I consider and the whole team considers to be the Wisconsin 8th. Dr. Kevin Fullen. A cardiologist here in KENOSHA who has cared for thousands of people. A vegan, plant-based food enthusiast who has encouraged KENOSHA to have healthier food and made a more livable town for us vegans. a dear friend and sibling in this journey who back in November was willing to take a meeting with me, and I said, I'm kind of wondering about a 22-day fast. Can I tell my wife it's safe? And over the last month especially, he has been meeting with us each day. He has been kind enough to make us all the food we're going to refeed with. And he has just become such a dear friend in this whole thing. So thank you, Dr. Kevin.
Okay, thank you so much. I know the Kenosha News is here today, so I actually am going to read from the Kenosha News. And the reason I'm going to do that is because a commentary that I wrote appeared in the news today, and it is the sentiment that I have regarding the Wisconsin 7. So here it says today, and I'd like to tell them personally. I'd like to tell them why they're here. That's why I want to talk about this today. It says today, March 26th at 10 a.m., the Wisconsin 7 are completing a 22-day water-only fast. And this fast was performed to raise awareness of the crisis of the air, the water, and land facing our planet, to promote green energy policy, to advocate for climate justice for people of all heritage and of all zip codes. Beyond standing in solidarity with their purpose, I have risen to provide medical supervision during their profound endurance, the 22-day fast. The prolonged fast that they have accomplished represents a deep personal commitment to raise community awareness about change that is urgently needed. By letting go of food in a dramatic way, they've raised awareness of what Martin Luther King would say, our beloved community. Drawing upon Mahatma Gandhi's tradition of tapping the power of nonviolent action, they followed the powerful precedents of the ongoing civil rights movement. But here's what I observed in close proximity to their action. All of these men and women are ordinary. They're not superhuman. However, they suffer extraordinarily. They experienced extreme hunger pain, headaches, craving, dizziness, fatigue, lots of fatigue. They slept poorly. They experienced the challenges of fragility of body, mind, and spirit at the limits of human experience. Although I would say the 7 suffered in this way, I'll also say that I witnessed their daily, extraordinary, outrageous acts. They always showed love and compassion for each other and those they interacted with. They were daily extraordinary in their frequent marches and rallies. They were extraordinary in their daily travels to events and coalition building. They continued daily extraordinary pre-fast activities of service to congregation, planting gardens for others, recycling work, supporting ongoing justice movements, to name only a few. Daily, they were extraordinary in the way they worked with people as interconnected humans. They never spoke negative of anyone. Their sacrifice is a model in the way that invites us all to rethink the earth and all life on it. They have done this contemplation and now walk in our neighborhood with caring compassion. These ordinary people do extraordinary daily acts. Their fast was beyond fathomable to most of us, but they're an exemplification of love, and their invitation to all of us is a legacy. How sacred and profound are the Wisconsin 7. Hallelujah.
On behalf of the Wisconsin 7, I thank you, Dr. Kevin, and there's no words to describe how much you supported our team. It is my great privilege to introduce our next speaker, one of the Wisconsin 7, Vaun Mayes, to come on up to the mic. Vaun is the voice of the people in Milwaukee. Vaun is involved in just about every justice thing you could get involved with. He is at every march. He always is where the people need him. And so it has been an unbelievable privilege to stand with him in this moment and many moments in the past. So come on up, Vaun. It's so good to have you here today.
Again, I'm Vaun Mayes of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the reason I joined in is because as a person who in 2015 organized a door-to-door water drive in Flint, Michigan, only to come here and find out that our water was worse and for even longer. Our water is still bad. And as a person who recently organized disaster relief efforts in Mississippi and in Texas with the storm system that we have down there, this is an issue that is important to me. It is one of the causes that don't get as much as attention as all the other ones that we fight day to day. But we still have a city who even now is trying to pass an ordinance to where we will be getting charged, a new charge for keeping our streetlights on. When I was in my early 20s, I worked a construction job and where I was trained in solar panel installation. I don't understand why we are not investing in those types of energy renewal and energy sustaining jobs, trainings, and usage to take less costs away from people and just add a different option instead of further monetizing upon people who, especially during the pandemic, people who have less, we're going to charge them more. I know most of the other people on this panel have done this for a additionally religious aspect, so I'm probably one of the only ones who did. But as my brothers and sisters call, if it's anything I can support, I'm going to support it. And this is a cause that, again, don't get as much attention, but it is important. When we have children, we have an entire society who is affected by lead water. When we have our state senators cry years and years about investing in urban ag and other forms of agriculture as means of therapy, mental health, and also to address the food deserts. When these things are being suggested, when we are throwing out lists of demands and these things are not being met, that is an issue and a problem. And as MLK also said, budgets are supposed to be moral documents. So all of these different causes and movements are issues of morality. And I don't think that the people that we have in leadership are listening and are understanding that. And so it was definitely an honor to be asked to be a part of this as the seventh person. And I will continue to support and help however I can in pushing the agenda to ensure that Wisconsin, in any sense, in any cause that can push us to progress and be a better city and better state, you will see me there. So thank you.
Let's hear it one more time for Vaun Mayes. Our next speaker this morning is going to be Joe Cardinale. He is our youngest of the Wisconsin 7. He's a college student. He is also a former county supervisor who at age 18 was elected as a Kenosha County supervisor. And so we know that Joe's got a very bright future. We're incredibly privileged that he took time to join us in this cause. It is the Wisconsin 7. So Joe, why don't you come on up and share some words with us?
Thank you, Reverend Barker. Really, the privilege is all mine. And I've said this from the get-go that I'm incredibly proud to be a part of this group. There's something beautiful about enduring a struggle with family, and I think that's what we all are. And this has definitely been a struggle, but to do it with people that I love and care about, and it made it so much easier. In addition to outpouring community support we've gotten, whether it be from people like Olivia Kennedy, who joined us in our final week of fasting, or people 3 days, around 3 days a week. I mean, when you're fasting, it all blends together anyway. But to building unity in the other coalitions and groups that supported us, to even the media, to like Uptown, our local media here, Uptown Observer, who's consistently been at our events and given us a beautiful platform. So thank you to all of them. I'll be brief. When you say no justice, no peace, to me, it's whether it's racial justice, climate justice, civil justice. You see what they're doing down in Georgia right now, just yesterday. The struggle is never going to end. The fight's never going to end. Even after we go break bread and break our fast, the fight for climate justice in this state and in our country is not going to end. It's actually just going to get started. This process has made me stronger. I think this process has made us all stronger. And I'm going to take what I've learned about myself, what I've learned about each other, what I've learned about fighting for justice from this journey, and apply it to achieving justice, not climate justice, civil justice, racial justice, economic justice, all the above. So that's what I've taken from this. I'm inspired, and I just want to real quick let each and every one of you know, the Wisconsin 7, how inspirational you are to me. I draw from each and every one of you. Justin, brother Justin, like I told you last night, you don't owe this community anything, but each and every day you wake up and find ways to give back to the community. So thank you for that. I have no excuse not to. I draw inspiration from that. Andy, I mean, it goes without saying, Andy Berg has been like a mentor and big brother to me for many years. If we had more elected officials like him in our community, we wouldn't have to fast for climate justice and other issues. So we wouldn't have to fight so hard. So Andy, Reverend, who spearheaded this, he changed my mindset in terms of, I came into this with somewhat of a skeptical mindset in terms of how much good the faith community can actually do. And him and Grace Lutheran Church and everybody here has just completely changed that, and I'm proud to be a part of that, and thank you for that. I mean, these guys vaccinated over 200 people and fed over 150 people just on Tuesday alone. I mean, how could you not be inspired by that? Sister Jill, love her to death. She's my role model. I want to have a life just like hers, a life of activism just like hers. And I'm going to dedicate my life to activism just like you. And the thing you said that stuck with me the most was activism, not collectivism. And I'm going to carry myself with that motto the rest of my life. So thank you. Brother Vaun, you've always been, to me, somebody to look up to, just what you've done, not only here with the climate fast or even over the last year with all the racial injustice, but just from what I've heard about you, your entire story, your background. I appreciate you. I want to learn from you and continue to work with you. So I want to let you know you inspired me too. So thank you. And the same goes to Brother Tori, who couldn't be here tonight. today. And finally, Dr. Kevin Fullen, best doctor in the world. Thank you for everything, not only physically, but mentally. We wouldn't be here in this condition without you, so thank you. Love each and every one of you. And as Pastor said perfectly, no justice, no peace. And we're going to live by that. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Joe Cardinale one more time. Well, it's my great privilege to introduce our next speaker, County Supervisor Andy Berg, the founder and director of Garden of Eden, which donates all of its produce to our pantry so we can do things like feed 150 families a week or more. He is an Army veteran who served our country bravely in Afghanistan. He is somebody who, to raise money for us to fix our roof here at church, slept over there for 2 days in January, and not only raised money for our roof, but for our food programs. And so without further ado, County Supervisor Andy Berg.
Ketosis, so the last time I spoke, I had cotton mouth about halfway through, so I got. So, when I was a child and I was watching movies, I was always in awe of the fields in California and Nevada. They had the wind turbines, just acres of them, miles of them, and I never quite understood why we didn't continue that process along with solar panels. We're 30, I'm a little bit older than that, 40 years ago, and we still haven't progressed enough. We had the opportunity to harness what God gave us through the sun and through the wind, but we failed to do that, whether it be to line people's pockets or whatever your viewpoint is on that. Us not progressing is the problem. Brother Torrey, who's not here today, he spoke about his son. His son has lead poisoning from the pipes in Milwaukee. That shouldn't be happening. There's over 40,000 families or homes in Milwaukee. I don't even know how many homes here in Kenosha do, but at least our mayor's been working on it. There's still a lot more to go though, so we need to change these lead pipes, and that's another part of what's in the governor's budget that we're here finishing our fast to support. Another aspect that I found necessary to speak about, because it has to do with our tax dollars, is if you look in the state of Wisconsin, there's approximately 40 locations for electric vehicle charging infrastructure or stations. If you go between Chicago and our southern border, there's 3 times that many in just that small gap versus our entire state. Those folks between Chicago and our southern border, Highland Park, Deerfield, Lake Forest, Lake everything, they've got a lot of money. And they come to Lake Geneva, they come to the Dells, they come to Door County. They spend money in our state. We don't have the charging infrastructure that they need to spend their tourism dollars here. They're going to go someplace else. So we're going to lose tourism dollars to come here, which means that we'll end up having to pay more money to cover our roads and everything else that we ever have to pay for. So we need to fix those things. Those are just 3 of the things that are in there. In there, there's dollars or budgeting for a conservation employee for counties that have conservation. We have that. We can absolutely use that extra employee to help with our conservation and help our farmers out with land conservation and water conservation. So with that, I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everybody that's supported us in these 22 days, especially my best friend over here who spent the last 3 days fasting. So just because we end our fast today doesn't mean that we're not talking about what needs to be changed. We need to keep that change going. We need to try to talk to a certain side of our legislators and get them to at least support one thing. If it's not going to be any of it, get them to support one thing. Keep chipping away at it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for my brothers and sisters, and Doc for being, who's my brother also, for being here with us for 22 days. And with that, I'll pass it back to the pastor. Thank you.
Let's hear it up for County Supervisor Andy Berg one more time. Next, I am so proud to introduce Jill Ferguson. She is the grandmother who has joined us for this 22-day fast. She is a board member at Peace Action Wisconsin, and she, as Jill mentioned, is a lifelong activist going back to age 12, mainly for peace. Jill, we are so glad to have you part of the Wisconsin 7. Come on up here, dear sister.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. So this has been quite the journey. As maybe some of you have heard me say before, I am on the board of Peace Action of Wisconsin, and when Reverend invited us to join for at that time the Wisconsin's 5 last meal and come to support him, I said, yeah, I'm in, let's drive down there. Well, long story short, I became one of the Wisconsin 7, and I couldn't be more proud. And I did so, first of all, I gotta fess up. You know, when I checked out the website after I got home, and I saw 5 talented, handsome, diverse, knowledgeable young men, I said, what's missing here? And it was the feminine energy and the elder energy. So I'm so pleased and honored to bring that to these fantastic 5 men. When I first saw this, I thought, wow, that is, before I was in it, I thought, wow, that is dedication. That is sacrifice. And 22 days later, what I can tell you that it is that it's love. It is all love. We have an intense love for one another, and we have an intense love for the planet, and we have an intense love for all of humanity. So I'm just going to kick a couple things, because I am a peace activist. War takes $1 trillion a year of our national budget. That's 67 cents of every tax dollar. When does that stop? 75 cents? When is enough? When do we take from that trillion, 250 billion, and use that to transition to a green economy instead of a war economy? I want to see recruiters coming into our kids' schools talking to us about the amazing opportunities there are in green jobs to create a planet that we can all thrive in. So I'm having a kind of a last night when we all got together, it was such an inspiring time, and I was up most of the night with just all kinds of thoughts going through my head. And I'm having a Greta Thunberg moment right now. Because I'm angry. I brought up a lot of my anger. I am angry that we sit back and allow children to drink lead water. That's violence. I am angry that we have wars, continual endless wars. That's violence. I am tired of our legislator taking, when called to the table to discuss sensible gun reform or to discuss police violence reform. 30 seconds and they walked away. This is not a political cause. This is not, as that sign says, Climate justice is not a concept. It's a priority. It's a priority. So I want us to be loud. While I appreciate our travels throughout Wisconsin and singing to the choir, I love it, the choir's got to get louder. We got to step outside of our comfort zones. Change is a difficult thing for most people. We run from change. We like to stay in our own little cubicles. But it's time. It is time for change. It is time to march on our legislators. It is time to demand a Green New Deal. That's not a dirty word. That's a moral obligation. So, coming here today, I have COPD and I have chronic bronchitis. I don't know how much longer I have to go. And as my other sign there says, it's a quote from Miles Davis. Time isn't the main thing. It's the only thing. And it's critical. It's critical. We are in a critical time, and it's time we get together as one family united and storm the legislation offices in Madison, and we demand it. And we ask them, if you don't support this, we want to know why. Because I sure can't think of a reason why, and I don't think you can think of a reason why. And we all need clean air, and we need clean water. 7 counties in Wisconsin have received the grade F from the American Lung Association. 1 gallon. You know, our Great Lakes, did you know they're one of the 7 natural wonders of the world? Right here, taking up the whole shoreline of Wisconsin. All our beautiful rivers. It takes 1 gallon of water, of oil, to contaminate 1 million gallons of ocean water or lake water. That's not okay. And I'm also here to honor and respect the Native American community, the indigenous people of this country, who have been in Wisconsin for 12,000 years and defending it for the last 400 years against the settlers who came in and thought they had a better way. So, what I want to say then, I'm going to close with one thing that's been my guiding thing. In fact, the pin on my hat, first one says, what does it say, Bob? What does it say? Yeah, I'm okay with my crazy. Everybody calls me crazy. I'm okay with it. The other thing I have on here is a pin of Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse died in 1877 at the age of 37. And not only Crazy Horse, but many natives had prophecies of the future. And I just want to read and close with a quote from Crazy Horse. He says, "The nation shall rise again." Hang on. "And it shall be a blessing for a sick world, and a world filled with broken promises, selfishness, and separations. A world longing for light again. I see a time of 7 generations when all colors of mankind will gather under the sacred tree of life, and the whole earth will become one circle again." That's my prayer. That's my hope. But we need all of you to join in that. And I thank everyone so much for their support, and I deeply love my brothers. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Jill Ferguson one more time. The next of the Wisconsin 7 barely needs an introduction. Justin Blake has been working his whole life, is an advocate, is a community organizer from Chicago to Milwaukee, trying to lift up the African American communities. He is the founder and executive director of Black Underground Recycling, which works to turn aluminum cans and other recycles into jobs and food for food pantries. As Joe mentioned, is here every day working in Kenosha hard for all of us. And so without further ado, Justin Blake.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to everybody here. The staff we have in our hand is a reflection of how we've leaned on each other for the last 22 days. In 2020, we were fighting for justice for little Jake. Jacob Blake that was shot 7 times in the back, that had no weapon, committed no crime, and weighed 140 pounds, and was trying to walk away as opposed to engaging. We continue that fight every day for the rest of our life. However, there are other very important issues that we must address and fight as well. Climate change being one of them. We were somewhere, I think it was Madison, and I thank all of my family that we were able to meet around the state of Wisconsin. Family that doesn't necessarily look like us, but family these days are people that support the issues you support. Family these days are people that are kind, people that feed other people, that help other people. Family these days are people that stop violence, halt violence, and reduce violence in your community. We are a member of the Blake family. We'll be fighting all over this country and all over this world to smash systemic racism, the violence that comes with it, the perpetuation of a small few retaining so much money, so much wealth, so much food and energy that set the rules. So we marched in 2020 with Pastor Jonathan, all my brothers and sisters sitting up here. This year we're more focused. In 2021, we will be bringing tangible things back to African American communities, minority communities, and low-income communities. On the bill, some of the things that really interest us was the aspect of the training of young men and others in the community that have been forced out of work for one reason or another. Some getting in and out of jail, and some getting released for full-time jobs. That this is the time that it would be applicable to them to get training and solar installed, get training and jobs and green energy. Because now, like Sam Cooke said, change is going to come, change is here. So our country is getting ready to take a big step forward in transition of how we look at each other, of how we eat, of how our energy is brought to us, on how we move our vehicles. As Brother Andy said, the electrical cars and building the ports that will let them go forward. We got wind turbines. All of these things allow the low-income and African-American community to get in on the ground floor of what's going to be happening the next 50 to 100 years in this country. Just as the Model 2 car rolled out of the Ford plant, there was no gas stations, there was no hotel, there was no highway for the car to go on. We had to build the infrastructure to do so. So we're going to have to do the same thing for our houses, for our cars, for the way we eat. We know that if we eat too much meat, it's sending our carbon up, and we need to try to be reducing our carbon in every which way we can, not just one way, as we do by recycling aluminum cans, feeding our senior citizens and veterans. We have to do a multitude of different things to lower our carbon footprint. And this 7, minus my dear brother Troy, who's at work today, are trying to bring about the change. This is, I think, the first time in our country's history, and probably the world, that 7 people went 22 days with no food, with a commitment to bring change. So I'm not going to be long. I want to thank all of our different organizations, LOC, Alderman from 9, Vaun Mayes, obviously the Lutheran Church here, and Dream Team, and many other organizations that we prayed for, fasted with, and understood the purpose. The house is on fire. Understand that the house is on fire. It's so funny because we said that 2 years ago as we were volunteering an alternative high school in Chatham Academy in Chicago. I was just going at it this morning, speaking to the kids, a whole lunch with the kids before they went to class, helping them understand the house is on fire. And we must act. We have to stamp out racism in every aspect. We see it in our courtrooms, we see it in school, we deal with it at the bank. These are things that are no longer tolerable. And we will ostracize those who do it, have them fired and removed, including those who are elected. Including those who are elected, because every day, every year comes around when the voters get to vote again. And as my sister Jill said, if you're not behind supporting green economy, climate justice, this isn't about Democrat and Republican. This isn't about black and white. This isn't about Christian and Muslim. This is a moral challenge about life and the young people behind us. To have Terry's son, 8 years old, is that correct, Bob? About 8 years old, drink water out of the damn sink in the bathroom like kids do, lead poison. So we have to be advocates for those who can't speak. When Martin Luther King was marching with my father, Malcolm X was out, Marcus Garvey was preaching, they were speaking for those who could not speak and be heard. And that's what this 7 did for 22 days. We're going to continue to work together. We're going to continue to work with legislative people. We're going to hear what we have to say. We're going to push for a budget, a just budget for our people, all our people. Because one thing's for damn sure, and I think Vaun said it, Terry said it, that air is something that we all breathe. Water is something that we all drink. These are things we can all meet common ground on. So continue to follow the Wisconsin 7. We've got a lot of work to still do. However, we can eat now. As we always say, in our African American community, we have to stop hurting ourselves. We have to push away the colonialism that stepped on our neck for the last 400 years. We have to embrace ourselves, love each other, and make the rest of the world do the same. Big ups to the red, the black, and the green. Unity now, one after. Thank you.
We'll be wrapping this up in a moment and opening up for questions from the press if there are any. But let me just close with a couple of things. So as Justin so helpfully said, we might be starting to eat today and some of us will be starting to eat tomorrow. But there is a lot of work yet to be done to get climate justice in our state and in our country. And so I just want to be really clear about what the Wisconsin 7 are calling for in the state budget. We are calling that Focus on Energy have double the funding in this budget cycle. And Focus on Energy works to create home energy efficiency. And in this budget, it is going to be expanded to help people living in apartments. So there's going to be things like on-bill financing. So if you're a renter, and you want to insulate your home so your bills go down, you're going to save a lot of money. And you can pay for the insulation off your savings. That's a great thing. We are excited about the Office of Environmental Justice. And so, as has been named, there's going to be a lot of transitions in our economy over the next decade. We want to make sure that our people of color, our communities of color, our indigenous communities, our communities impacted by poverty have a seat at the table when they're figuring out where to source these jobs, these windmills, these solar panels, and so we need to make sure everybody's included. And so this is a great opportunity to keep lifting up our communities. As was mentioned, there is the potential to have a lot of money to fix lead pipes and other polluted water that people are drinking in this budget. It's not just lead pipes in Milwaukee and Kenosha, which we definitely need, but in rural communities, there's all sorts of runoff and toxic chemicals in their water as well. This is about everybody in Wisconsin having clean water for their kids, whether you live in cities, farms, or anywhere in between. And this is a great opportunity for everybody. There is the opportunity to train people in family-sustaining green jobs. We're 6 blocks from the old American Motors Chrysler plant that used to hire 10,000 people. We're not too far from the old American Grass. In Kenosha, we need family-sustaining manufacturing jobs. And that's true in Racine, that's true in Milwaukee, that's true throughout our state. This budget has the potential to train people in family-sustaining green jobs. That's a wonderful opportunity. As Vaun so wonderfully said, why aren't we doing this already? Why aren't we putting people to work so we can have clean air and clean water and a livable future? We're talking about land and water conservation. Our rural communities are struggling too. I used to serve at a rural church, and the little downtown, well, the shops, the ice cream shops and other little things that people used to love were all boarded up. Our rural communities, our farm communities are struggling, and there is money, and this won't solve all the problems, but there's money for land and water conservation in this budget. That's a great opportunity. And so then there is also money in this budget, as Andy so helpfully pointed out, for electric car charging infrastructure. Now, electric cars have 1 part for every 1,000 parts that an internal combustion engine car has. It means they basically have no maintenance. So that saves a lot of money. It also only costs half as much to operate an electric car per year as it does for a gasoline car. Now the problem is you need an outdoor plug. Literally just an outdoor plug. But it's hard to do that if you're in an apartment. So there is money in this budget to have public charging infrastructure. This is again a great opportunity. All of these things are about helping people. As I said at the beginning, as a Christian, as an ordained minister, love for neighbor means making sure our neighbors have a livable future, family-sustaining green jobs, clean air to breathe, and clean water to drink. And this budget provides all of that. We just need to pass it. And so there's some work to do. Now, it's not just at the state level. Our country at the federal level right now is also standing on the precipice of amazing climate justice. You might have heard of something called the infrastructure bill, and in that bill there is a tremendous opportunity to lift up all of our communities, again, with family-sustaining green jobs, clean air, clean water. And so this year is the year that we can get climate justice. And I am so honored that each person standing here with me in the Wisconsin 7, each person that's fasted and prayed with us, nobody's quitting. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep fasting. We're going to keep praying. Next Friday, a lot of us are going to be fasting again. We're going to be praying again. And the Friday after that. And some of you know I've committed to fasting every Friday and Wednesday until we get climate justice in this state and in this country, and we have a livable future for our families. Woo! I'm going to open it up to questions in 1 second, but I want to end on one last thing. So we're here at church. And people of faith are people of hope. I feel so much hope because of each one of you. When we started this 22 days ago, a lot of people said this was not possible to fast for 22 days. It's too hard, it's too much suffering, you're going to get sick, you're going to die, you're going to whatever. This team, the Wisconsin 7, did something that was very difficult. A lot of people say that climate justice is difficult. It's hard, it's sacrificial. We've named it, that's not even entirely true. There's a lot of benefits for everybody. But the Wisconsin 7 remind me that what is hard, what is difficult, it can be accomplished. And I know that our state and our country can come together and do amazing and wonderful things that lift up all of us. And so on behalf of the Wisconsin 7, thank you for the prayers, thank you for the support, thank you for the love. God bless you all, and we're going to keep fighting until we get climate justice in the state budget and climate justice for our whole country. All right, if any of the press want to ask any of the Wisconsin 7 questions, we'll open it up for that now.
Reverend, how was your message received as you guys went around the state?
Everywhere we went, we were received with people that were unbelievably supportive, people that were willing to fast and pray with us. Whether we were in Cameron, which is very good, about an hour north of Eau Claire, whether it's Dodgeville. Yesterday, we had a 95-year-old and a 5-year-old come up to us and thank us. And so it has been an unbelievable outpouring of love for the Wisconsin 7 everywhere we've gone. And thank you for that question.
Reverend Barker, so you've talked about climate change for a while, and you even wrote a book. So I'm wondering, since you started this, and even when you were writing your book, have you noticed a change in sentiment around the state, around even the community, when it comes to green energy or anything like that? People shifting to maybe think about it differently?
It has been amazing to watch this conversation shift. As Daniel mentioned, 2 years ago I went on a 12-day fast, and back then it was me by myself, and when I did events it was, there were some very lovely people that came and supported, but it was nothing like it is now, and so it has come a long ways. I am encouraged by the number of people that have supported us, the number of pastors. We've had 3 bishops speak at our events. We've had so many politicians come out, from county supervisors, aldermen, alder people, state assembly people, state senators. The lieutenant governor came out one day with us. It has been amazing to see the way that this conversation has spread in the last 2 years. And again, we're at a critical moment, but it is amazing to see what's going to happen next. And I really, 2021 is the year we're going to get some climate justice in the next 3 months.
Thank you.
And Tammy Baldwin, Senator Tammy Baldwin also is filming a clip for us.
All right.
Thank you.
First and foremost, I must thank you guys for helping, people who are like me, who were lost, now I'm found. Thank you, Jesus. I've been letting the Holy Spirit guide me. For some reason, I just came over here. And the number 7, right? What does that mean to you and your people?
Well, the number 7 in the Christian tradition means a whole lot of things. But what it means to me today is there are 7 people standing together.
Okay.
And it was not, we didn't pick 7 for the sake of 7. We picked 7 because 7 people boldly stood up. And in my faith tradition, we also have something we talk about. When God called the prophet Jeremiah, God told Jeremiah to stand up and speak boldly and speak truth. These 7 people, they heard a call to stand up and speak boldly. So that is why we are the Wisconsin 7, because 7 people heard this call, stood up and fasted for 22 days.
All right, man. That's not
as well.
Very
Take care.
blessed. All of you guys are very blessed, living in the human spirit. I mean, not the human spirit, in God's spirit, and that's amazing. That's amazing. God bless you guys.
Any other questions from you or for any of the other Wisconsin 7 from the press? Well, I'll invite Joe Ferguson back to the mic. She has one thing she'd like to share.
More than that, but there's one I forgot to impart. So with my signs, a lot of thought goes into it, and as I make one, another thought drops into my mind, and I have to make another one. In this group, I have said, if we have a governance who governs for people and for planet, justice means prosperity and peace. That's going to follow when we govern for peace and planet. Peace and prosperity will follow, and that's where we'll all live, in that place of justice. So the last thing I want to say is, when you're talking to your friends about this, who maybe are deniers or skeptics, what if it's not? What if it's not a hoax? What if it's not fake news? What if it is just a socialist agenda that's going to break this country if we do a Green New Deal? When your kids and your grandkids come to you and say, what did you do? You had to know. What did you do? Are you going to say, I'm sorry? That's not going to cut it. So we have to stand up and we have to act. No collectivism, activism. So thank you.
Just wanted to add one thing. In the spirit of not dying today and doing more work and more service in our communities, the Black Underground Recycling, LOC, all of us are non-gang real estate. Vaun and his organization, the Dream Team, will be starting a cleanup in Kenosha coming soon.
Amen.
We will also be in Milwaukee. We're going to the hood to give love to and help them understand what climate change means to us, how we need to be involved. Also, before the summer's over, we'll be bringing the Black Underground Recycling from Chicago to Milwaukee and Kenosha. We recycle aluminum cans in order to feed our senior citizens. 1,000 people a month free for the last 2 to 3 years. We'll be employing at least 100 people. We seek to open a free computer lab in Inglewood, in Chicago, Milwaukee, and Kenosha. We're starting an African Descendant Urban Development Plan that's green, that will be green building from Chicago to Milwaukee. So please stay tuned to the Wisconsin 7. We got a lot of work to do. Peace.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
All right, are there any other questions or comments before